Hey, welcome and good day. Ron Modra here. We're in my office at the Lensman Project Gallery here in Nashville, Tennessee. And today we're going to talk about one image that I took for Sports Illustrated at an Olympic event in 1988. It was the 100-meter finals with Ben Johnson and Carl Lewis. This image came about almost by accident because on the morning of the 100-meter race, my boss, Jerry Cook, called me in my room and said, hey, look, we need one more guy to go to the 100-meter finals. Now, this is last minute, so I'm thinking, Jerry, where would you like me to go? All the positions are assigned. Well, Jerry says, hey, Ron, just find a spot that you feel comfortable with and make me a picture. Well, I went to the event and I'm walking around. There was a moat around the track, so I'm kind of trying to find a position for myself. And then I spot a friend of mine, David Burnett, from Time Magazine. I settled in and then tried to think about what I wanted to do for an image. And so with all the other positions assigned up and down the 100 meters, I just thought, you know what, I might just try a pan shot today. So in the next hour or two while we're sitting there, I'm driving poor David crazy with saying, hey, Dave, what do you think? What's my exposure? What do you think I should do about this, that, and the other thing? And so I'm really making Dave just like nutty. And all these years later, we still talk about this when we get together. So finally, I thought, you know what, I'm going to do this pan shot. Now, the problem was I really hadn't done a pan shot like this before. And so I'm thinking to myself, wow, is the 1988 100-meter finals really a good idea to experiment? Well, I went ahead and did it anyway. And so I had a 300-millimeter lens on my camera. Now, again, this is pre-digital. And I thought about it, and then I thought, you know what, I'm going to pick a spot and pick the guy who I thought might be in the lead at this particular point. And I was going back and forth between should I go with Ben Johnson, should I go with Carl Lewis? You know, they were the two favorites. And I ultimately said, I'm going with Ben Johnson. I'd worked with Ben up in Toronto a couple of months prior while he was training, and he was the world record holder. So I thought, you know, I'm going with Ben. Well, they get in the starting blocks, and the gun goes off, and I pan it, and ultimately, I couldn't have been more happy with the image that I came out with, and this is the image. After being at the track for about 4 hours prior to the race, and then only have about 2 or 3 seconds of race that came in front of me, you know, it's time to head out. And so I started to think about the fact is that, you know, I'm pretty sure I had the actual picture that I wanted. But again, this is pre-digital. You're not looking at the back of your screen saying, wow, I really nailed that. You know, I had a lot of anxiety for the rest of the day of, you know, did this image turn out? Did it not turn out? But when I got back to the hotel, and I got a call from Jerry, and he said, wow, you really nailed that Ben Johnson shot. I just absolutely felt terrific. And then I found out they were going to use it both as a cover and an opener. And so I had covered a number of Olympics prior to that, but I had never gotten an Olympic cover. So this was going to be my very first one. So I was really, really thrilled about that. But then that night, probably about 2 o'clock in the morning, the phone rings in my hotel room, and it's Jerry saying, hey, look, Ben Johnson got busted for steroids and he's leaving the country. So we need you and John Iacono, one of my colleagues, to go out to the airport and find Ben and photograph him getting ready to leave Seoul. So Johnny and I packed up and we jumped in a cab and we headed out to the airport. And it certainly wasn't very hard to find Ben Johnson because now the entire world press corps was trailing after Ben as he was trying to leave the country. We photographed Ben, and there was still some time before the plane was leaving, and so we called back to the office and told them we had what we needed, and then the next step was they wanted one of us, either Johnny or myself, to get on the plane and fly back to the States with Ben and photograph him on the plane and then come back to Seoul in the next day or two. Well, fortunately for me, I didn't bring my passport to the airport, and Johnny did, and so it fell on him to board the plane and fly to the States with Ben Johnson, photograph him along the way for the story, and I returned to the hotel now thinking I've lost the cover and the opener because they're probably going to switch stories on this Ben Johnson deal. So that was pretty much the day of life with Ben Johnson. Hey, I hope you enjoyed that little story about Ben Johnson in the 1988 Olympic 100-meter finals for Sports Illustrated. If you like this video, please click the subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner and also click on the bell to be notified of any further Lensman production videos that we're coming out with.